Commander Vox Tur Aeon squinted at the holographic projection as it flickered, revealing the tiny blue-green planet that had caused the Galactic Confederation so much grief. His three violet eyes blinked in sequence, right, center, left, a nervous tic he'd developed since the humans had rejected their final peace offer. "Tell me again," he growled, addressing the anxious intelligence officer beside him, how a species that still uses combustion engines and hasn't even colonized their own moon managed to destroy our most advanced battleship. Lieutenant Zara Pell swallowed hard, her pale green skin flushing turquoise with embarrassment. "The reports are confusing, sir. The humans didn't use any technology we recognize. The glorious Vanguard was, well, it just stopped existing." "Ships don't just stop existing, Lieutenant," Vox snapped, pounding his four-fingered fist against the console. "Especially not 9-kilometer-long dreadnoughts with quantum shielding and a crew of 15,000. A sarcastic voice drawled from the doorway. Perhaps they asked it nicely to go away? These humans seemed to have quite the persuasive touch. Vox didn't need to turn around to recognize the voice of Admiral Drex Callow, the Confederation's most decorated military commander. The aging Phyrexian warrior's scales had long faded from their youthful crimson to a dull rust color, but his mind remained as sharp as the ceremonial blade always hanging at his hip. "Admiral," Vox acknowledged with a respectful nod. "Your humor is noted, though perhaps ill-timed given our current predicament." "Humor?" Drex raised a scaly eyebrow ridge. "Who said I was joking? These humans have made 17 different species soil their undergarments in the past solar cycle. They have gone from quaint curiosity to existential threat faster than a Zorcian bolt lizard on stimulants." Lieutenant Zara cleared her throat. "The diplomatic archives are fully uploaded for your review, sirs. 623 attempts at peaceful contact. All failures." "Show me the last one," ordered Vox, reaching for his stimulant inhaler. He had a feeling he'd need it. The hologram shifted to display footage from 3 standard weeks ago, the final diplomatic mission to Earth. Ambassador Trell Quarren of the Delvian Commune, respected throughout the galaxy for resolving the 1,000-year blood feud between the Arc-Sur and Kroll empires, approached the human delegation with open arms and peaceful intentions. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Trell's melodious voice rang out in the recording. "On behalf of the 216 sentient species of the Galactic Confederation, I extend our hand in friendship and mutual cooperation. Your world shows great promise, and..." "Yeah, gonna stop you right there," Blue Guy interrupted a human female with auburn hair pulled into a severe knot. "We have heard this speech 17 times from 17 different aliens. Let me guess what comes next. We join your little club, share our resources, follow your rules, and everyone lives happily ever after." Ambassador Trell's 12 fingers fluttered in confusion. "Well, yes, that is the general." "Not interested," the human said flatly. "Your Confederation has been monitoring our planet for 70 years. You have abducted our citizens, experimented on them, crashed your ships on our soil, and then ghosted us until we developed nuclear weapons. Now suddenly we are promising enough for membership. Hard pass. But surely we can discuss." The human woman laughed without humor. "Oh, was. We tried discussing. You know what happened to our first contact team? The one we sent out on the Artemis mission after we picked up your signals? Your border patrol vaporized them because they didn't have proper interstellar transit documentation. Documentation you never bothered to tell us about." "Yes." Vox winced as he watched Ambassador Trell's skin cycle through colors of distress. The Delvian looked genuinely shocked. I was not informed of this incident. The High Council assured me." "The High Council," the human said with venomous sweetness. "They can go perform anatomically impossible acts upon themselves. We are done with diplomacy. We are done with your Confederation. Earth is closed. You have 48 hours to remove all your surveillance equipment from our solar system before we consider it an act of war." The recording ended with Ambassador Trell being unceremoniously escorted out by human security personnel. "Charming," Drex commented dryly, "and what happened after those 48 hours? Zara pulled up another file. The humans detected and destroyed 14 cloaked observation platforms. Then they somehow tracked our stealth frigate Whispering Shadow back to Junction Station 6. That's 4 light-years away, Vox exclaimed. How could they? Unknown, Zara interrupted. Unusual for the typically deferential lieutenant. But they sent this message immediately afterward. The hologram displayed a simple text transmission. That was a warning shot. Respect our borders or there won't be a second one. Admiral Drex began to laugh, a rumbling sound like stones in a metal drum. Oh, I like these humans. They have got quad-symmetrical reproductive organs, that's for sure. The High Council didn't share your appreciation, Zara continued. They dispatched the glorious Vanguard to perform a show of force in Earth's orbit. Just to, how did Counselor Pax phrase it? Remind the primitives of their place in the cosmic hierarchy. And that's when things went from bad to catastrophic, Vox muttered, calling up the sensor logs from the incident. The massive Confederation dreadnought had appeared in Earth's orbit with great fanfare, its kilometer-long mass drivers aimed at major population centers in a textbook intimidation maneuver. Standard procedure for bringing upstart civilizations to heel. Except the humans didn't heal. They didn't even flinch. Instead, something impossible happened. The sensor logs showed a massive energy spike originating from Earth's moon, previously thought to be uninhabited. Then simply nothing. The glorious Vanguard, pride of the Confederation fleet, vanished as if it had never existed. No debris, Vox noted for the 100th time. No radiation signature, no distress call. Just gone. And now, Drex sighed heavily. The High Council is soiling itself trying to figure out what to do next. 15,000 of our finest, gone in an instant. An unknown weapon of unimaginable power in the hands of a species that has explicitly told us to get lost. Reports from our deep cover agents on Earth are concerning, Zara added, pulling up another file. Humans are mobilizing, but not in any way we expected. They are not building warships or mass drivers or planetary shields. What are they building? Vox asked, already dreading the answer. We don't know exactly, but they are calling it Project Exodus, and they have unified their entire planet's resources behind it. Whatever they are planning, they are all in agreement, which is terrifying, because humans never agree on anything. Drex's expression darkened. That's what scares me most. In my 8 centuries of military service, I have never seen a species respond to a threat by getting quieter and more organized. They usually get louder and more chaotic. Perhaps, Vox suggested, hopefully, they are building an evacuation fleet? Preparing to abandon Earth before we retaliate? Doubtful, Drex shook his head. These humans struck me as many things, but cowardly isn't one of them. No, they are planning something. Something big. A priority alert chimed, and Zara quickly pulled up the incoming transmission. It's from our surveillance outpost in the Proxima Centauri system. They are detecting, oh no. The holographic display showed a swarm of objects leaving Earth's orbit. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Are those ships? Vox asked, his voice barely a whisper. Negative, Zara replied. They are too small, too simple. More like capsules. Each one appears to contain a few humans and minimal life support systems. They are dispersing in all directions. Drex's eyes widened. By the void, they are seeding themselves across the stars, like spores from a death cap fungus. But why? Vox couldn't make sense of it. They must know we can track these capsules. We can intercept them. Can we, though? Drex countered. There are thousands and more launching every minute. We'd need to mobilize the entire fleet, leaving our core worlds defenseless. Vox's communicator chirped. Commander, this is High Counselor Pax. Report to the emergency session immediately. Bring your staff. Acknowledged. Counselor, Vox replied, shooting a worried glance at his companions. An emergency session of the High Council meant things had gone from bad to worse. The council chamber hummed with tense voices as representatives from all major Confederation species argued frantically. The massive circular room, usually a model of order and decorum, had devolved into what the humans might call a three-ring circus. "We should nuke their entire planet from orbit," shouted Gorick, the Taurian representative, his four meaty fists pounding the table. "Show these upstarts what real power looks like." "With what ships exactly?" countered Elissa of the Sylph Collective, her gossamer wings vibrating with agitation. "Half our battle fleet is being dispatched to intercept these human capsules, and the other half is protecting our core worlds in case this is a diversion." High Counselor Pax, a wizened Arcturian whose species had led the Confederation for millennia, raised a gnarled hand for silence. The chamber gradually quieted. "Commander Tur Aeon," Pax's ancient voice creaked. "You have analyzed the human response more thoroughly than anyone. What is your assessment?" Vox stepped forward, uncomfortably aware of 300 pairs of eyes from 60 different species focused on him. "Honored counselors, my team believes the humans are implementing a survival strategy. They are dispersing their population to ensure that even if we destroy Earth, humanity survives." "That's insane," scoffed Delegate Moore of the Plutonian hegemony. "These capsules are primitive. Most will fail before reaching any habitable system. The humans inside will die." "Perhaps that's acceptable to them," Drex interjected, stepping up beside Vox. "Humans have a concept they call acceptable losses. They are willing to sacrifice individuals for the survival of their species. But that still doesn't explain what happened to the glorious Vanguard," Counselor Pax pressed. "Or why they are doing this now, when they must know it will provoke us further." A side door hissed open, and a small, unassuming figure entered the chamber. Unlike the ornate robes and ceremonial armor worn by most present, this newcomer wore simple gray coveralls. Every eye turned to the newcomer, and the room fell silent. "Perhaps I can shed some light on that question," said the newcomer, voice calm and measured. "With the Council's permission, of course." Vox recognized her immediately, Director Nari Ven of Confederation Intelligence, rarely seen in public and even more rarely heard. If she was here, speaking openly, the situation was truly dire. Pax nodded gravely. "Please, Director, enlighten us. Enlighten us." The Director Ven activated her own holographic display. "What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. Until today, only myself and 2 of my analysts have seen this." The hologram displayed an unremarkable human dwelling, a small house with a garden. A human male with graying hair was working in the soil, planting something. "This is Dr. Thomas Garrett," Ven explained. "Until 3 months ago, he was a theoretical physicist at something called CERN, one of their best minds working on alternative space-time theories." The image shifted to show the same man in a laboratory, excitedly explaining something to colleagues while pointing at equations on a hovering display. "Our agents have been monitoring potentially dangerous human scientists for decades," Ven continued. Dr. Garrett was considered brilliant but harmless. His work was purely theoretical, until it wasn't. The hologram shifted again, showing the scientist meeting with military officials. Shortly after our final diplomatic mission failed, Dr. Garrett was approached by human authorities. He disappeared into a secure facility for 6 weeks, then resurfaced just days before the glorious Vanguard incident. "What does this have to do with our missing battleship?" demanded Gorick. Director Ven's expression remained impassive. "The day before the glorious Vanguard arrived, we intercepted this conversation between Dr. Garrett and his spouse." The hologram showed the scientist sitting at a table with another human, both looking somber. "They will be coming, the scientist said. After what happened at the embassy, they will come to try and scare us." "And then what?" his partner asked. "Then we show them why they should have taken our rejection gracefully," Dr. Garrett replied, taking a sip from his cup. "The device works, Karen. It really works. They tested it yesterday. What exactly does it do?" Dr. Garrett smiled sadly. "It removes things from our reality. Not destroys, removes. like they never existed in the first place. Theoretical physics made horrifyingly practical. That's monstrous, Tom. Yes, the scientist agreed. It is, but so is threatening an entire planet over wounded pride. The Confederation needs to learn that Earth isn't some primitive backwater they can bully into submission. We are going to teach them the difference between technology and understanding. The hologram faded. The council chamber remained utterly silent for several long moments. Are you suggesting, Pax finally spoke, his voice barely audible, that the humans have developed technology that can erase matter from existence? Not just matter, Venn corrected. Reality itself. If Dr. Garrett is to be believed, they have created a device that can selectively remove objects from the space-time continuum as if they never existed. That's impossible, shouted several counselors at once. Evidently not, Drex said dryly. Unless someone has a better explanation for why our most powerful warship vanished without a trace. Vox felt cold dread pooling in his stomach. The capsules, they are not just fleeing. They are spreading out to establish new human colonies before we can retaliate. Exactly, Venn nodded. And according to our latest intelligence, each capsule contains data on how to build this reality eraser device. They are ensuring the knowledge can't be destroyed even if Earth falls. The chamber erupted into pandemonium. Counselors shouted over each other, some demanding immediate military action, others calling for full retreat from human space. Through the chaos, Vox noticed Admiral Drex staring thoughtfully at the now empty hologram where Dr. Garrett's image had been. "You are unusually quiet, Admiral," Vox commented. Drex's weathered face creased into an ironic smile. "Just appreciating the poetic justice, Commander. For centuries, we dismissed humans as primitives because they focused on theoretical science rather than practical technology. We laughed at their fixation on understanding the fundamental nature of reality. And now they have weaponized that understanding," Drex sighed. "While we were building bigger ships and better guns, they were learning how to rewrite the rulebook of existence itself." A priority alert blared across all channels, and Lieutenant Zara's panicked face appeared on Vox's communicator. "Commander, the human capsules, they are accelerating." "Impossible," Vox replied. "They have minimal propulsion systems." "It's not propulsion," Zara's voice trembled. "They are manipulating space around themselves, creating some kind of localized distortion that's allowing them to reach near light speeds. Our interceptors can't catch them." High Counselor Pax had received the same alert. He rose shakily to his feet, suddenly looking every one of his 300 years. "This council session is suspended," he announced, his voice quavering. "All military personnel report to your stations. All civilian vessels are hereby commanded to avoid human space at all costs." As the chamber emptied in frantic disarray, Vox found himself standing alone with Drex and Director Venn. "What do we do now?" Vox asked, not caring how desperate he sounded. Venn's expression remained unreadable. "We wait, and we hope the humans are more merciful than we were." Drex laughed bitterly. "Mercy? From a species we have systematically disrespected, dismissed, and threatened? Don't hold your breath, Director." "So this is how the Confederation falls," Vox murmured. "Not to conquerors or plague or resource wars, but to a species we never even took seriously until it was too late." "Oh, I don't think this is the end," Drex replied, his eyes gleaming with an emotion Vox couldn't quite identify. "This, Commander, is just the beginning. The question isn't whether the Confederation will survive." "What is the question, then?" Ben asked. Drex gestured to the star map showing thousands of human capsules spreading outward like a viral infection across the galaxy. "The question, Director, is whether any of us will recognize the universe once the humans are finished rewriting it." As if punctuating his statement, another alert sounded. Earth had begun broadcasting on all frequencies, a simple message repeating in every known language of the Confederation. "You should have just left us alone." 72 hours after Earth's ominous broadcast, The Galactic Confederation found itself in the unprecedented position of having absolutely no idea what to do. Vox-Tur Aeon stared at his reflection in the viewport of Monitoring Station Epsilon, one of the few outposts still maintaining a safe distance from Earth's solar system. The bags under all three of his violet eyes testified to his lack of sleep. Behind him, EA. The command center buzzed with frantic activity as analysts tried to track the thousands of human capsules now scattering across the galaxy like dandelion seeds in a hurricane. Any response from the High Council? He asked without turning around. Lieutenant Zara Pell shook her head, her skin shifting to a pale blue that signaled anxiety. They have been in emergency session for 2 standard days. No decisions announced yet. Marvelous, Vox muttered. The greatest threat the Confederation has ever faced, and our illustrious leaders are probably arguing about proper meeting protocols. Actually, came Admiral Drex's gravelly voice as he limped into the command center, they are arguing about whether to surrender. Vox spun around. Surrender? The entire Confederation? To a single planet of primates who haven't even had faster-than-light travel for a full century. Drex barked a laugh that contained no humor whatsoever. Funny how quickly superiority complexes evaporate when faced with extinction, isn't it? Half the Council wants to offer unconditional surrender before the humans decide to erase more than just a single battleship. The other half wants to launch an all-out assault on Earth. Both terrible ideas, Zara commented, pulling up a holographic display. Look at this simulation based on the capsule trajectories. The display showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with thousands of glowing dots representing human capsules spreading outward in all directions from Sol. Even if we destroyed Earth tomorrow, Zara continued, we estimate that at least 60% of these capsules would reach habitable systems. Each one carries the knowledge to build the reality eraser. Within a decade, there would be human colonies with this weapon scattered across 2,000 systems. We could never find them all. And a direct assault would likely trigger immediate retaliation, Vox concluded glumly. They'd simply erase our attack fleet from existence, maybe our core worlds too. Precisely why the Council is deadlocked, Drex confirmed, pouring himself a glass of fermented Julipian nectar from a flask at his hip. Damned if we do, damned if we don't. A ping sounded from the communications console and Zara hurried to check it. Her skin cycled rapidly through colors of shock. Green to blue to purple to an almost translucent white. Commander, she whispered. We are receiving a direct transmission from Earth. Put it through, Vox ordered, straightening his uniform. The main view screen flickered, and the image of a human appeared. Not the stern, auburn-haired female from the failed diplomatic mission, but the scientist from Director Ven's intelligence briefing, Dr. Thomas Garrett. He looked tired but calm, sitting in what appeared to be a simple office with equations scrawled on boards behind him. Greetings, Commander Tur Aeon, the human said. I hope this message finds you well, or at least as well as can be expected under the circumstances. Vox exchanged glances with Drex. How did they know exactly which outpost he was on? Dr. Garrett, Vox replied carefully. This is unexpected. The human smiled wryly. I imagine so. Your surveillance systems are quite good, but ours have improved considerably in recent weeks. Necessity being the mother of invention and all that. What do you want? Drex interrupted, stepping into view of the transmission. Come to gloat before you erase us all? Dr. Garrett's expression softened. Actually, Admiral Callow, I have come to offer clarification, and perhaps a way forward that doesn't end with mutual destruction. Vox felt a flicker of hope, quickly suppressed by professional caution. We are listening. First, the scientist began, I want to be absolutely clear about our capabilities. What you call the orality eraser is actually a localized quantum phase shifter. It doesn't destroy matter, it shifts it into a parallel dimension. Your battleship and its crew still exist, just elsewhere. That's supposed to be reassuring. Drex scoffed. You have developed technology to banish things from our universe. As opposed to your disintegration cannons that convert matter to energy with no hope of recovery? Dr. Garrett countered, raising an eyebrow. At least our approach leaves the possibility of return. Return? Vox leaned forward. You are saying the glorious Vanguard could be brought back? Theoretically, yes, we are working on it. The scientist tapped something on a device out of view. But that's not why I'm contacting you. I'm here because in approximately 14 hours your High Council is going to vote to launch a massive assault on Earth. Every capital ship you have, armed with your most destructive weapons. Vox struggled to keep his face neutral, but the human's accuracy was unnerving. The Council's deliberations were supposed to be absolutely secret. And if such a plan existed, he asked carefully. It would fail, Dr. Garrett said simply. Not because we would shift your fleet into another dimension, though we could. It would fail because Earth is no longer where you think it is. The command center fell silent. Even the technicians stopped their work to stare at the screen. Explain, demanded Drex. Dr. Garrett nodded. The capsules you have been tracking aren't colony ships. They are phase beacons. When activated in sequence, they create a phase corridor, a passage through dimensional space. 12 hours ago, we moved the entire Earth, along with our moon and orbital infrastructure. 3 dimensions sideways from your reality. He paused to let that sink in. You moved your planet? Zara whispered, her scientific curiosity overcoming her military discipline. An entire planet? The math was actually the hard part. Dr. Garrett replied with a modest shrug. The energy requirements were surprisingly reasonable once we figured out how to harvest quantum vacuum fluctuations. Vox's mind reeled. But we can still see Earth. Our sensors show it's right where it's always been. What you are seeing is a phase echo, essentially a holographic projection with enough mass energy signature to fool your sensors. If you sent ships there right now, they'd find nothing but empty space once they got close enough. By the void, Drex murmured, genuine awe in his voice. They didn't just develop a weapon. They figured out how to step sideways out of reality itself. So you are what? Vox struggled to process the implications. Leaving? Taking your planet and going home? Dr. Garrett smiled sadly. Not exactly. Earth remains where it's always been, just shifted slightly out of phase with your dimension. We can observe you and, when necessary, interact with you. But you cannot reach us, not with your current technology. Then why the capsules? Zara asked. Why spread out across the galaxy if you have already secured Earth? Insurance, the scientist replied simply, and observation posts. Each capsule contains a small team of humans and the technology to maintain phase alignment with Earth. They will settle on uninhabited worlds throughout the galaxy, establishing a network that lets us monitor Confederation activities. You are creating an invisible empire, Vox realized with growing horror, right under our noses. I prefer to think of it as a safety net, Dr. Garrett corrected. We have no interest in conquering anyone, Commander. Earth wants exactly what we have always wanted, to be left alone to develop in peace. Then why contact us at all? Drex demanded. Why not simply disappear and be done with it? The human sighed heavily. Because despite everything, we are not monsters. The phase shift technology has implications beyond defensive applications. We have discovered that prolonged phase misalignment between intelligent species can have unforeseen consequences on the structural integrity of the multiverse itself. Meaning what exactly? Vox asked, though he suspected he wouldn't like the answer. Meaning that if humans and the Confederation remain out of phase for too long, both our realities could become unstable. In layman's terms, we'd risk tearing a hole in the fabric of existence. Drex laughed bitterly. So you haven't called to gloat. You have called because your miraculous solution has a fatal flaw. Not fatal if we work together, Dr. Garrett replied evenly. We have prepared a data package containing theoretical frameworks for establishing safe phase communication protocols. With these, our civilizations can maintain contact without risking multiversal collapse. And in return? Vox asked. What does Earth want from the Confederation? Recognition of Earth's sovereign space, including all uninhabited systems within 50 light-years of Sol, a non-aggression pact, and public acknowledgement of the Confederation's previous actions against humanity, the abductions, the experiments, the destruction of our first contact team. Vox glanced at Drex, who looked thoughtful rather than outraged. The High Council will never admit to those actions, Vox said cautiously. It would undermine their authority with the member species. Then perhaps the High Council's authority should be undermined, Dr. Garrett suggested mildly. Or did you think Earth was the only world the Confederation has mistreated over the millennia? An uncomfortable silence fell over the command center. Every officer present knew the truth of the human's words. The Confederation's history of guiding developing worlds was filled with dubious ethical choices justified as necessary for galactic stability. How long do we have to decide? Drex finally asked. The phase shift becomes increasingly difficult to reverse after 7 of your standard days, Dr. Garrett replied. After that, both our realities begin to stabilize in their new configuration, and any attempt to realign them could be catastrophic. 7 days to convince a bureaucracy that's existed for 50,000 years to change its fundamental approach to emerging civilizations, Vox muttered. No pressure. Dr. Garrett smiled. If it helps, we have arranged a demonstration to convince the skeptics. What kind of demonstration? Zara asked nervously. In exactly 10 minutes, every artificial satellite in the Confederation's capital system will shift out of phase for precisely 3 seconds. They will then return with no damage and perfect functionality. It should prove that we can affect objects throughout your territory at will, and that our technology is precise enough to do so without harm. Vox felt a cold sweat break out across his scales. That's over 6,000 orbital platforms around the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. 6,247 to be exact, the human corrected. Don't worry, we have taken precautions to ensure no collisions during the momentary phase shift. Drex started laughing, a deep, genuine belly laugh that startled everyone in the command center. Something amusing, Admiral? Dr. Garrett inquired. Absolutely. Drex wiped a tear from his eye. After thousands of years of the Confederation playing God with lesser species, we finally encountered one that can actually do what we only pretended to be capable of. The irony is exquisite. The human scientist smiled. History does have a sense of humor, doesn't it? The data package is being transmitted now. I suggest you review it quickly and present it to your High Council before they make an unfortunate decision. And if they refuse your terms? Vox asked, already knowing the answer. Then Earth remains phase shifted. Our observation network expands, and we continue development of our technology without Confederation interference. Eventually, the multiverse becomes unstable, and we all face the consequences together. Dr. Garrett's expression turned solemn. But I hope your leaders are wiser than that. Despite our differences, I believe both our civilizations deserve a future. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Well, Drex finally said, downing the rest of his drink in one gulp. I never thought I'd live to see the day when the mighty Confederation would be brought to its knees by a species that still watches reality entertainment and argues about sports teams. What do we do now? Zara asked, looking between her superior officers. Vox straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. Now, Lieutenant, we do something the Confederation hasn't done in 50 millennia. What's that, sir? Negotiate with an emerging species as equals, he replied. Admiral Drex, I will need you to present this data to the High Council. Your reputation will ensure they at least listen before dismissing it. And you? Drex asked, though his knowing smile suggested he already had a guess. I will be preparing a complete historical record of all Confederation interactions with Earth, Vox said grimly. The truth, not the sanitized official version, including the destruction of their first contact mission and the abduction of their citizens for experimentation. Zara gasped. Sir, that's classified at the highest level. Releasing that information is treason. Perhaps Vox acknowledged. Or perhaps it's time the Confederation confronted its own hypocrisy. We have spent millennia judging other species unworthy based on their technological development, while ignoring their ethical and philosophical advancements. About time someone said it, Drex muttered, checking his chronometer. We have 8 minutes until the humans' demonstration. I suggest we alert the capital and prepare for a lot of panicked communications. Vox nodded, then turned to his lieutenant. Zara, begin analysis of the human data package. Priority focus on the phase communication protocols and any information about reversing the battleship's displacement. Yes, sir, she replied, already moving to a research terminal. As his officers carried out their tasks, Vox turned back to the viewport, gazing at the stars with new eyes. For the first time in his long career, the universe felt bigger, more mysterious, and strangely more hopeful than before. You know, Drex said quietly, coming to stand beside him, in all my centuries of service I have participated in the uplifting of 37 species into the Confederation. Not once did we consider that perhaps we were the ones who needed uplifting. Do you think the Council will accept the humans' terms? Vox asked. Drex chuckled. After their demonstration, they will have no choice. But the real question is what happens after. What do you mean? Think about it, the old admiral said, his eyes gleaming with unexpected excitement. It's a species that can shift between dimensions at will, move entire planets, and possibly bridge realities. And they are willing to share at least some of that knowledge with us. You think this could be the beginning of a genuine alliance? Vox asked skeptically. I think, Drex replied, that the universe just got a lot more interesting. And perhaps that's what we have needed all along. Their conversation was interrupted by a priority alert. On screens throughout the command center, reports began flooding in from the capital system. Every satellite, from defense platforms to communication relays, had simultaneously winked out of existence for exactly 3 seconds before reappearing undamaged. The message from Earth was clear. We can reach you anywhere. We can affect anything. And we are showing restraint. Vox watched as the reports continued to pour in, and a strange feeling of optimism washed over him. For the first time since the crisis began, he allowed himself to believe that perhaps, just perhaps, this wasn't the end of galactic civilization as they knew it. Maybe it was merely the end of the Confederation's complacency. Maybe it was the beginning of something new. As if reading his thoughts, Drex clapped a hand on his shoulder. You know what the really funny part is, Commander? What's that, Admiral? All of this could have been avoided if we'd just respected their boundaries in the first place, Drex said with a rueful smile. The humans were right. We really should have just left them alone.